most revolutionary products to hit our culture in our modern day is, of course, the smartphone, with all the applications and the many features of the phone to make our lives easier. That brings us to the many accessories, and we're talking about the Olloclip. The Olloclip that started in a 3-in-1, and then it went to a 4-in-1 camera lens. This is the one complementary feature that is now found around the world, and it's made in Huntington Beach. And today we have the founder and the CEO with us, Patrick O'Neill. Mr. Patrick O'Neill, how are you, sir?
I'm living the dream. Thank you, Matt.
Are you?
Yeah.
So you live the dream?
Yeah, I am living the dream. I am living the dream. It's like hard to believe how far we've come from my kitchen table, not even 4 years ago, to 17,000 square feet here, and we need to move again. We've outgrown it, basically. We're out of office space. We need to hire more people, and it just keeps going. And we've got something like 50 people working for us.
But it had to start with a love of photography. Weren't you a photography nut? I mean, a hobbyist and all that?
No, it did. It did. I come from a family of photographers. I love taking pictures. I've done it my whole life. In fact, my grandfather used to tell me that the pictures were 37.5 cents each. So be careful how many times you push the button. You know, this is back in the film days, and that included the film and the processing. But no, I've always loved photography, but technology's been what I wanted to do for a career. So I've always been in the computer industry. I started off in IBM clones and then moved into storage, hard drives, then moved into mobile about 15, 16 years ago. So I've been exclusively mobile since then. And the smartphone era has changed the world, as you said. And it's, just seeing when they came out with cameras, thinking, I would like to put lenses on that like we do on our big cameras, but how do you elegantly mount the lens? So I just let that germinate, let it percolate for a few years, and then finally came up with an idea on how I could do it. Mortgaged my house, got a home equity line.
You did the whole thing? For
$200,000, and I thought if it doesn't work out, we can go live with my parents. They also live in Huntington Beach. They're lovely people. They like my wife and kids, and but it did work out. So we spent a year iterating the original Olloclip, just doing hundreds of versions before I thought we got it to where it needed to be. And then we launched on Kickstarter nearly 4 years ago. And that got us 1,500 people in something like 70 countries to give us money and propel us to the next level so that we could get the product out in their hands and they could start using it and tell their friends about how wonderful it was. But yeah, I just rolled the dice. I went all in, and here we are.
You rolled the dice.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a time that said, oh, no way? I mean, no way.
Never.
Not once?
No.
Because people were saying, that's a hell of a product.
No, at the beginning, some people thought, oh, it's a dumb idea. Who wants to do that? You hear it all. We had some people saying, you know what, I don't want the wide angle and the macro, I just want the fisheye. So just do one lens, make the price half as much, and I'll sell it that way. And we're like, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to do it this way. And this was a huge retailer. Not Apple.
We'll talk about Apple. Yeah.
Apple loved it from the beginning.
So, and then it just struck a chord. Where did Apple, it's a smartphone device, mm-hmm. but where did Apple come into play?
Apple came in, in fact, the day the iPhone 4S launched, we started talking to Apple a couple months before the iPhone 4S launch. And then the day it launched, they called us up and said, hey, can you guys get over for a meeting? And our guy's like, he was living in Illinois at the time, our COO. So he was commuting between Illinois and California, spending 2 weeks out here, a week on the road, and a week at home with his wife and kids. And he said, yeah, sure, we can do a phone call. What time should I call in? And they said, no, we need you here in Cupertino today. And he's like, that's going to be hard. How about tomorrow? So we went up, and actually that was the day after Steve Jobs had passed away. So it was kind of interesting being there on that day. But, it was a busy time. That's always the busiest time up there. And, things have to keep moving, and they did. And
today, how many Apple stores are you in?
there's something like 500. We're in every one of them in the world.
Amazing. From China to Costa Mesa, California.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What's that feeling like about going into a store and say, yeah, that's us?
No, it's an amazing experience. Yeah, I mean, I've traveled the world. I've done hundreds of thousands of miles in the air since we launched this product. And every time, it never gets old either. Every time we go to a new city around the world, we go find the Apple store, go in, take pictures, go find our product, take pictures of our product on the rack. It really never gets old. They all start in Huntington Beach, and then they fan out all over the world. Yeah.
Steve Jobs, a mentor?
Oh, well, he's a huge influence in my life. I unfortunately never got to meet him. In fact, I hope that he got a chance to use our products before he passed on. But yeah, he's been a huge influence in my life. I've read every book ever written about him, and when I last had a job, which was 1991, I've been doing my own thing here in Huntington Beach for a long time.
Yeah.
But when I thought it would be fun to go work for him, you know, the way when we were developing the product originally, we would ask ourselves, you know, what would Steve say if we presented it to him, and would he say it's good enough? And the answer would always be no. And we keep working, we keep iterating. We'd go another couple weeks and ask ourselves, you know, what would Steve say now? And it'd be no, not good enough. And then we sort of got to the point where we thought, well, maybe if we got Steve on a day when, you know, he was feeling a little generous, maybe he'd let this one by. And we figured, okay, that's it. Because I'd look at it and sort of say that his approval of a product is like an impossible goal. Like, that's perfection, right? And I don't think perfection's quite attainable. I think you can keep pushing towards it, and you always should, and we always do. But to say you've achieved perfection, I think would be a bit arrogant. And so I don't think we'll ever get there, but we'll keep trying.
The bar is pretty high at Apple. Yeah. But today, Apple stores, and of course there's other retailers as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We're in Best Buy, Target, a bunch of other retailers around the world, AT&T, Verizon, yeah.
Wow. And the honors just keep coming your way. One of which is, of course, the Orange County Business Journal Excellence in Entrepreneurship Award, the Innovation Entrepreneur Award from the Consumer Electronics Association. There's been design awards. The Huntington Beach Chamber of Commerce, sir, gave you their Innovator Award last year. And of course, the Entrepreneur of the Year from Entrepreneur Magazine, for heaven's sakes. That's you.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible, because I never really even thought of myself as an entrepreneur. I just thought of myself as a guy that gets stuff done. And, but it turns out, I guess they've got a lot in common. So, both my grandparents had their own businesses. In fact, my grandfather on my mother's side came from England, and he lived in Huntington Beach, and they had a property management business managing condo associations like Weatherly Bay and Huntington Harbor, and a bunch of other condo associations around Huntington Beach and the Orange County area. So he always told me, you know, you really want to go out and work for yourself, you know, rather than, do work for somebody else, and that always stuck with me.
All right, what about the process itself and how we get to those shelves? Take us through. Obviously, it has to start with the idea and the design.
Yeah, so I'll get in my head what the product should do and basically how it should work, and then our team of designers will take it and they'll fine-tune it and make it work really well and then make it look nice. So we've got a design team of about 7 people and a big 3D printer that we just got, a new $200,000 3D printer that can print 3 different materials, mix them. It can print rubber, plastic, clear, colors. It's really an incredible piece of equipment, and we use that to once we come up with a design, we put it in the computer. So you put it in SolidWorks is the program we use. It's a very sophisticated program, and so our designers design the product, our engineers put it into the computer. We then print it and we test it and see if we like how it works, how it feels. And then we just keep iterating that. Anytime we do a product, we'll make hundreds of versions of a product before we ever get to launch. And then once we get it to where we're happy, then we turn the design over to our tooling factory in Vista.
Vista, which is down the...
Yeah, just down, not about an hour away. And so they'll do the hard steel tooling, which costs tens of thousands of dollars. And that takes 4 or 5 weeks, and then we're in production, and they're producing the plastic parts down there and sending them up every day on a truck to us so we can build them here.
And that assembly is like, how does this work?
Yeah, well, we have the lenses, and then we have the plastic clip. And so you put a lens into, we've designed a manufacturing method where we put the lens in, we slide the plastic clip in, and then we use a press to push down on the plastic and mate the lens to the plastic. So, and that's a very quick process. And we're doing a lot, of course, we're doing a lot of testing to make sure that everything, tolerances are correct and everything's perfect.
Yeah, and we right now are in the nerve center.
Yes.
We're actually in the process of
the production. Yeah, this is where we do the production. So it's a very noisy environment. You can hear a lot going on.
Yeah.
We're getting orders ready for our customers all over the world that we're shipping out every day here, building product every day.
And you did mention there's a QC, you do quality control.
That's right, yeah. Checking the optics. So we check to make sure the clip's not too tight, not too loose, and we've got methods for doing that.
It's an intricate process, though.
Oh, absolutely. I had to design the manufacturing process, too.
I'm sure.
Way back at the beginning when I did the Kickstarter, so I came up with an idea of how it could all be manufactured quickly and easily. Yeah.
I mean, when we talk about lenses.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the product is very small and it looks very simple, but there's so many fine details that have to be perfect for this thing to operate properly and make sure the image quality is where it needs to be. We have to come up with all these ideas.
Right, you're moving with the times.
Yeah, so we just keep, as Apple keeps making their iPhone better and making their cameras better, we keep pace with them by making our products better. It's going to continue to change, and I mean, I look at that as being fun. You know, I think some people are like, oh, aren't you so upset that you have to make a new one whenever Apple comes out with a new device? And I'm like, no, it's fun to meet that new challenge. You know, I look at it as it's an opportunity to improve the product. It's an opportunity to push ourselves and see, you know, how can we make this better? What other innovative ideas do we have? Yeah. So we just march with them into the future.
And you march pretty much around the clock, it seems like you do here. So, and now today you have examples of what people are using your clip for, examples of people around the world. Some of the pictures that people have come up with, including yourself as you jog around the world with Apple and so forth, are amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. We talk about it being creative options in your pocket. So it's a great social media accessory. I feel bad for other companies that make like Bluetooth speakers, because how often does somebody go on Instagram and post about how much they love their Bluetooth speaker? You know, they might love it, but they're not going to go on Instagram and post about it, where every time somebody uses our product and they take a picture and they post it to Instagram, whether or not they tag Olloclip, it's still, they're posting a picture that looks unique and interesting, and it could start a conversation with their friends where they'll go, wow, that's really cool, how'd you do that? And you know, then they'll start telling them about Olloclip.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And around the world.
Yes. Yeah.
From your kitchen.
Yes. Yeah. It seems so much longer than 4 years. So much has happened. It's like, I feel like I've poured 10 years into that 4 years, and I probably have. In fact, we did our first production runs out of the house because I wanted the perfect office. I didn't want something too far away. You know, I wanted something down on the beach, preferably, you know, with a nice view.
Right.
It didn't happen, but, you know.
Very good. Patrick, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Patrick O'Neill, Olloclip. It's part of your everyday life now. Made in Huntington Beach.
If you're planning on starting, locating, or relocating your business, you have a business-friendly friend in Huntington Beach. Let the experts at the City of Huntington Beach guide you to a seamless and convenient approach to tapping into a new future within the city of expanding horizons. Many companies enjoy the features Surf City delivers, including the proximity to travel, ports, and of course, pristine weather and beaches. Call today and see how HB is uniquely qualified to assist your next move. Call or click today. Huntington Beach, your friendly business partner in town.
We're coming to you from one of the many automotive garages in Huntington Beach, but just not any ordinary garage in Huntington Beach. No, you are familiar with the DeLorean. And DeLorean Motor Company is in Huntington Beach. It's made in Huntington Beach, and we're going to get into that right now with the guest, our service manager of the entire operation. Gentleman's been around a long time, Danny Bodkin. How are you, sir? Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. We didn't know that you refurbished and took care of DeLorean cars in Huntington Beach.
Well, we've actually only been at this location about a year and a half. Before that, we were over in Garden Grove for about 28 years.
Wow, 28 years. Why Huntington Beach?
We needed a bigger location, first thing, and with the amount of business that we've had to expand. And we went from a 6,000 square foot building into a 10,000 square foot building. And we wanted a nicer area. I mean, Huntington Beach is just a beautiful area, and it offers a lot of automotive support. Honestly, there's so many automotive things down here that it's unbelievable. If you look in the little dark corners of Huntington Beach, there is so much made here, and so much support for wiring harnesses and parts that I need to get made. You know, when we run out of parts on these cars, we have to get them made. And luckily, we do have all the blueprints and designs to every single part on the car. So
amazing.
That makes it nice. So much nicer. Just everything down here is just wonderful.
10,000 square feet. How many employees now?
We have 5 employees total.
Okay, and they kept pretty busy, I guess.
We keep busy. Yeah, there's about 20 to 30 cars here at any one time for repairs or restoration.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the DeLorean car itself. Now, back in the day, 1981.
Correct.
Right? 9,000 were totally made in its history.
That was
9,000. Why only 9,000?
Well, the company was planning for many more. 30,000 was the number of this model that was supposed to be made total. But John DeLorean, you know, it was a first-year car and ran into all the problems that a first-year car runs into.
Right.
As far as I know, this thing still holds the record from blueprint to production than any car in history still. But he had a lot going on, and he was able to build 9,000 cars. But with sales, you know, going up and down, weather back east where he couldn't get cars back east, the problems that he had down in Ireland, he just couldn't keep the company going.
Amazing. Yeah, and that's part of the background. Of course, he was from Detroit,
Correct.
Michigan, old car executive, car guy. The passion he had for this model, this invention of his, carries on to how many owners today?
I would say there's probably 6,000 or 7,000 left in the world today, which is a pretty good number.
Wow, that is.
But I go back to the original day it came out, where I fell in love with it the first day.
And you actually own, you've owned 3 of these?
I've owned 3 of them so far, yeah.
3. Well, what's the fascination with the DeLorean and yourself?
I've always loved the car. I can't explain it. You know, it's a futuristic car. But I remember sitting in the showroom floor when it first came out in '81. You know, my dad was buying a Ford Bronco at a dealership, and they sold DeLoreans too. And just always dreamed about having one. And you know, when Back to the Future movie came out, also that set me over the top because it was such a great movie.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that. But what made the DeLorean so special? I mean, long before the movie, long before Back to the Future, what made a DeLorean a cool car to own?
The gull wing doors have to be the first thing you automatically think about when you talk about a DeLorean. The uniqueness of them, and the stainless steel. It was probably one of the most anticipated new cars that was ever to come out. John DeLorean did a lot of press with the car in the beginning, trying to get everybody to get excited about it, and came out to Hollywood, and he knew what the Hollywood crowd would do when they saw the car, and you know, it was just everybody wanted to see this beautiful new sports car that this Maverick, and honestly what we like to call him too is the father of the muscle car, because he's a guy that brought out the GTO with the big engines and Trans Ams and things like this. He started the whole muscle car era.
Yeah.
So they really were anticipating, you know, what kind of car is this guy going to come out with, and he came out with the DeLorean.
Your experience goes back to Universal. I mean, you actually went back. They're going to make, I think, a Back to the Future 4
Yes.
or something. What happened with that?
They were planning to make, back in 2001, they were planning to make a Part 4. Universal, you know, we had a nice little shop in Garden Grove. We were working on DeLorean, so they wanted us to restore the car and get it running and dependable again so they could shoot a Part 4. This was about the same time where I bought my very first DeLorean, and I was restoring it. And after working on the Back to the Future car, it changed my life, really, because now I love the Back to the Future cars and make them and all that kind of stuff. So that day really changed my life. I'm a mechanic by trade most of my life, so you know, love tinkering with machines and things like that. So just, I don't know, it fits everything that I love about cars. But unfortunately, they didn't do a Part 4. They shelved the idea and it never got made. But it was nice to get the opportunity to actually work on the original car.
And because of your own experience with the DeLorean car, you've met the stars, you go to car shows, you do all these things and continue to do them today.
Oh, correct. Yeah, I've done a few gigs with Christopher Lloyd and things like that, and I've met most of all the stars in the movie, except for Michael J. Fox. I still haven't met him yet.
And I hear the story is that he didn't like the DeLorean. He found it cumbersome.
He did inside. He hit his head. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff inside. So you hit your head, and cutting his hand on the wire ties that are inside and things like that. If you even notice in the movie, Doc Brown hits his head on the door, and it really did happen quite a few times. especially when they iced up the car. If you notice, they iced up the car, and these things have gas shocks on the doors, and gas shocks don't like cold. They become kind of useless, so the door wasn't able to stay up. And if you really look closely at the scenes when they get out, he's actually holding the door up because he got tired of getting hit in the head with it.
This is the car that is seen on the tour. You walk past on the Universal Studios tour. Where is the car today?
The A car, what
The
we
A
call
car.
it, the one we restored, it was on the Universal tour, on the tram tour. You drove by it. It was sitting outside, along with a bunch of other cars that they had there from the movies, and just kind of rotting away. It's now no longer there, thank goodness. Thanks to all of us to restore it. It is now sitting in a room, in an enclosed glass case, protected from the elements and everything else. And it just looks like it's glory again. It's just wonderful.
A DeLorean cost today how much?
A nice DeLorean is right around the 45 to 47 range, for just to get a nice, clean DeLorean.
Okay. In 1981, how much did it cost?
They were about $28,000 back then.
Which was a lot of money. I mean, that was $28,000 in 1981.
Back then, 81, that was a hefty little price. I mean, it was like buying a $60,000 car today. And then for us to do the Back to the Future, it's
Yes.
about $47,500 on top of that.
On top of that, you want it to be the Back to the Future car. It's around $47,500.
Correct.
Amazing. And how long is that going to take?
It usually takes about 6 months to get all the parts together and put it all together.
All right. And after all these years, where are these parts?
Most of them are gone. The Hollywood film crew that went and built the original ones, they went to some of the surplus yards and military yards too, because a lot of them are old military parts. They're, jet engine igniters and helicopter struts and, wiring harnesses for military planes and things like that. And they stuck it all on the car and to make the movie. Finding that stuff anymore, it was old stuff back then in scrap yards, and now it's just pretty much non-existent. And a lot of the Back to the Future fans has snaked up all the stuff there too. So I've been sourcing things out little by little as I can't get them anymore, and having them made in machine shops and just straight from scratch having them done.
Wow.
Each and every single part of the car.
That's why it's
That's why it's
47.5.
Yeah.
Wow.
I really try to make it as accurate as I possibly can.
So the car comes to you stripped down for the most part. It is a DeLorean, but it's not a Back to the Future car.
Correct.
What has to happen? You got all the parts, you got everything, and I want my Back to the Future car. What happens?
Well, first thing, we have to take out all the back windows. The original car had no back windows at all. It just had a bulkhead in the back where the back window was, and no windows on the side, and no more sunshade. And the differences with that, when we build them here, we build them to drive. We build them to be sealed. The original car was a lot of things just put on and screwed in and things like that really wasn't quality to have a nice, dependable driving car. So I go one step farther and nutsert everything, seal up everything, and make sure that car can drive in a hurricane if it had to.
Because it's different from movie making and real life driving.
It is different. There's movie props, and then there's something in real life that you can go and
go
drive.
get your smog check.
And go get your smog
That's
check,
right.
yes.
Okay.
And then you're going in the interior and ripping a lot of the interior out, so you can put the back wall where the flux capacitor goes and all the lights and gizmos that would work. We'll actually put sound systems in the car so you can play Back to the Future music at shows. We'll put smoke machines inside the car so you can blow smoke inside the car. Also out the rear vents, we'll do that. And we light it up too. We light it up for show. We'll light up the whole bottom of the car in the vents and all the special effects inside. And the time circuits also. I mean, they're just like the movie. You can actually program in your destination time. Everything that the movie shows that it does, these cars will do.
What? Everything?
Everything. Except for flying in. I'm working on it.
I was going to ask you about the flying. Absolutely. But what is part of the process that is like the most time consuming? And probably the owners have no clue about how to put one of these together, but what would be the most time consuming part of this?
Wiring. Yeah, just wiring everything up, depending on what people want. And I've been adding little things more and more. Time circuits that actually program in. You can program in your destination time. So you try to make it safe and right too. And safe to drive, waterproof. The original car was not waterproof. A prop car is a lot different than what a car like I would build, because I want a car that you can depend on. It's not going to rattle around. That's going to be sealed, and just dependable for you.
How many miles per gallon does a DeLorean get nowadays?
A DeLorean is pretty good. It gets about 28 miles to the gallon.
28 miles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be one shocking feature of that car.
Yeah, it actually gets really good gas mileage. It's a nice little sports car.
Yeah, I mean, besides, if the movie never happened, What would have happened to the DeLorean car, do you think?
I get asked that, and I still think it'd be an iconic car. I think it would still be a collector car. I don't think it'd all be as popular as it is now. You can't drive down the street without anybody, smiling and waving at you and taking pictures and honestly following you home sometimes with the Back to the Future car. As much as it is today, as much as everybody knows about it, no. Without Back to the Future, I don't think you would have seen that. But for car collectors and car lovers, I think it would still have been an iconic collecting car. Whether or not I would be here, today doing this if it wasn't for, Back to the Future and what everything was about that, I don't know. But it would still be around. It would still be a love car, I believe.
A love car. Yeah, kind of like the Mustangs of the old.
Yeah.
And it's just another a collector's item.
Correct.
It just happens to be, you can make it a Back to the Future car if you want,
You're right. Or just keep it a stock DeLorean. And even just driving a stock DeLorean down the street, you get people waving at you and wanting to take pictures of the car. It's just, I always call it a DeLorean, a smile maker, because everyone smiles when they see it. It's like seeing a Herbie the Love Bug. You smile automatically when you see Herbie.
It's a chick magnet. Come on.
I don't know about a chick magnet.
Come on, you got a flex capacitor in there.
But it definitely gets a lot of looks. Especially car shows. People are always asking questions about it. And again, something I like to say, it's probably the most popular unknown car in the world, because everybody knows it when they see it. They know it's a DeLorean, but they just don't know much about it. And I love answering the questions. I love going to car shows and answering and letting people know some of the things about the car, about John DeLorean, and what really happened, because that is a story that is, a lot of people know little parts of it, but not many people know everything.
Yeah, there's some mystique around it, and of course, he passed away when?
Passed away about 8 years ago.
8 years at the age of?
He was 80 years old.
80 years old.
I talked to him 3 days before he passed away.
What was that like?
I got to talk to him a few times. His daughter brought him into our shop. We got to be friends with his daughter, Catherine, and he was in town seeing her graduate college, and so she brought him into the shop, and it was really neat. I've been trying to meet him for years before that, different car shows, and he's canceled and things like that. But finally got to meet him and talk to him. He's a very personable, very nice man, very knowledgeable man.
He was a car guy. He was like
guy.
that vintage person that would be a car guy.
And I got to meet him and show him my very first Back to the Future car I was building, and he got a kick out of it. He really did like it.
Do you feel a certain kind of kinship to the whole thing? You've owned three. You met John DeLorean, and you went back to the future, literally to Universal, and said, "Hey, let's do this."
And it's the American dream, and it's every car lover's dream, and that's probably why I'm so hooked into it.
Well, we are going back to the future a little bit, aren't we?
We are.
So very good. Danny, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let us just come in and say, the DeLorean is alive and very well, made in Huntington Beach. Well, as you can tell by today, there's a lot more to Huntington Beach than our beautiful surf and sun, but a city that offers a diverse and dynamic light industrial economy. It is, therefore, the strength of our makers, the molders, the innovators, the distributors, who in turn create the job opportunities while supplying the much needed and exciting products found around the world. Made in Huntington Beach. I'm Matt Liffreing. We'll see you next time.